In the immediate, right, as soon as an event happens, a traumatic event happens, there's a set of reactions, and then emotionally over time, there are different set of reactions. So let's look at just what's happening immediately. Shock. I mean, this actually speaks to the Tamil word adirchi, right? This is like the source of it. It's shocking. It's sort of like you're not expecting it. You don't even know how to react to it, right? Then you have numbness. You can't believe it. You don't feel much. It takes a while for feeling to actually come back. So that's numbness. Confusion. You see this a lot. People can't actually tell you exactly what happened. Not because they don't want to. Sometimes they don't want to, but it's also because they're actually confused about what happened. If you think about people who've lost somebody in your life, right? You try to like think at the moment when it happened. It's not always easy to bring back the memory of exactly what all happened. For example, my grandfather died when I was 8 years old. It was shocking to me. He died very suddenly. I was very, very close to him. About 10 years later, I started remembering a detail about what I was wearing on the day he died, but I could not remember the color of that dress for a very, very long time. It's an example of how when we are in a state of shock, there's numbness, we're not actually taking in all the information, and it can feel a little bit confusing. So that's the disorientation. Difficulty focusing. It's hard for them to give you a story of exactly what all happened, when did it happen, the timeline of what happened, right? So it's a lot of difficulty focusing their attention. Let's take a look at that. So in the days, weeks, possibly months, years after a traumatic event, there's a lot of fear and anxiety, right? This fear never leaves you in a way that you're worried that same thing is going to repeat itself. It's going to happen again. And in some cases, it will happen again. Like if you're in a domestic violence situation, for example, that's an occurrence that's always happening. So your fear is not unfounded. It's actually, you really should be afraid to some extent, right? So fear and anxiety. Mood. You see this in a lot of people that you try to help them and they're pushing you away. They're angry, they're irritable, and you can't understand why they're angry at you. You're only there to help them. They're not really angry at you. This is the side effect of trauma, right? That they're not used to anybody actually helping them. So that brings up a lot of anger and irritability. So it's something to keep in mind when you're trying to help someone. Guilt. Did it happen because I'm a bad person? Did I do something to like bring this upon me? If you're very religious, you may feel like, okay, God chose this to happen to me, and then start questioning the why. So there's a lot of guilt that comes up. Avoidance. A lot of people will not talk about the thing that was the most traumatic thing. I can't even like think about it. I can't talk about it. You're here to help me. I can't tell you exactly what's going on because even seeing you is a reminder that something traumatic happened and I need to talk about it, right? So you see a lot of avoidance. This one we've talked about already, emotional numbness, but it just continues on over a long, long period of time when we're talking about trauma. And then dissociation, which is, if you have the experience of, let's say you're walking and your mind starts to wander and suddenly you look around and you realize you've walked like 5 streets away from where you were supposed to go, or you didn't even know how you got there, right? When that happens, that's what we call dissociation. It's like being out of your body. The mind and body are not connected at the moment. And then lastly, relational difficulties, right? So these are problems in relationships. You can't trust other people. You don't really think that people can actually help you, even if you claim that you're going to help them. So a lot of relationship difficulties, also a symptom.